Awesome. All right, fantastic. I think we are live. All right, good morning, or it could be good afternoon or good evening, depending on whenever you might be watching this. But for us, it's morning, and I just wanted to say thank you to my amazing client, Sinead, who graciously agreed to spend some time with me this morning and just going through her experience with the Reshape You program. And Sinead, I don't ask everybody, one, because I know it's a burden to borrow people's time because time is very precious. But one of the things that really impressed me about you was you have a young child. And
Mhm.
typically, when moms have young children, they find it a very difficult task to be able to focus on their health, to changing their body, to all of the things that are required to take this journey. And not only did you take it on, but you really knocked it out of the park. And I was just so impressed with it. I was like, there's just no way we can go without sharing your story, your experience, because I am sure there is some mom out there who is in your same position, in your shoes, and she is just is going to love to hear this story. So, one of the things we focus on are the results. Like, you got the results, right? You were down 14 pounds in 12 weeks, which was just a testament to your commitment to the process and to taking action. But I would love to hear kind of where it was, what position were you when you initially reached out to me? What was your life like at that point?
Well, thank you for that introduction. Yeah, it was busy. Things were busy. I went back to work when my son was 12 weeks old, and I had lost all my baby weight in the first couple of months, like all of it, and then some. And then I stopped nursing, and it all came back. And it got to a point later in the year where I just felt groggy. I felt uncomfortable. I felt like bones were hurting, joints were hurting. I didn't have the energy. I wasn't sleeping well. And my son was starting to crawl and move and walk. And I couldn't get up fast enough to get after him
Mhm.
really. And I think it was one day I was trying on the pants that I'm actually wearing today, which I had bought when I started this job, and they just didn't fit. They were, as we would say at home, they were bet onto me. They were so tight, and I was like, I need to do something about this. Like, I
Mhm.
just let myself go, and I was also trying not to be ridiculously hard on myself because life happens. But I
Mhm.
just felt like I had hit a wall, and I wasn't able to get back on track. And I knew that I had I tried other things, um, but I honestly I hadn't tried them well enough. I didn't have the motivation. I didn't have the push because I just kept making excuses. And so I went onto a Facebook page and I posted it there and I asked for recommendations and suggestions, and your name came up a couple of times, and we scheduled a call, and I was committed from then. I thought we were a good match, and we obviously were.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And you kind of mentioned like you tried other things. Like, what was your experience? Like, what were some of the things that you had tried to lose weight?
I don't know. I tried everything all at once. I tried cutting carbs. I tried uh, the couch to 5K, which I'd done in the past, but because I wasn't healthy and fit where I needed to be, I hurt my foot straight away, and that just demotivated me. And I said, well, I'm too heavy now to run. I'm too heavy to ever do that again. Um, and I just couldn't stay focused on anything. I couldn't meal plan. I couldn't shop appropriately. I couldn't figure out macros. I couldn't figure out calories. What was I supposed to be eating? I
Mhm.
just I couldn't do it by myself. And I wouldn't take the help from anyone else either. Anyone who knew me, if I knew someone, they'd be like, "Oh, well, my husband, like I'll help you with your exercises." Nope, I don't want it from you. I don't want the help from him. It's a really weird thing. It's like if it comes from, you know, boyfriend, husband, or best friend, it's
Yes.
it's different because I feel automatically kind of ashamed that I had to. It was a weird time. I felt like I
Mhm.
couldn't ask for help from someone I knew.
Yeah. So it's kind of struggling a bit there.
100%. Yeah, just
Yeah.
struggling to find something that worked, and
Yeah.
stick with it. I felt like I needed a result yesterday, as opposed to being patient, and slow and steady really does win the race.
100%. I would agree with you. Yeah. So I'm just kind of curious about what were some of the concerns or like fears? Like what were some hesitations you might have had before you ended up working with me?
That it wasn't going to work. That was,
Mm.
but you never know, and I was like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to invest my time and energy. I'm going to go into this with the right headspace. But I was still like, I'm not going to say easy. Is it really that easy? But is it? How can it be? If it's so easy, how come I haven't been able to do it by myself? And
Mm.
that was you know, but then kind of meeting with you weekly and seeing how gradual it was, it made sense to me. But I remember the first week when you said, we'll just track what you're doing right now. That's a waste of a week. In my head, I was thinking it's a waste of a week, but it wasn't, because that week alone, I was so conscious, but not overly conscious. I was conscious and I was tracking, and I was immediately like, what am I actually putting into my body? Like, where is my energy coming from? Like, this is all empty calories per se.
Mm.
Um, so it just made sense from the get-go. But definitely my fear was that it would have been a waste of time and money. Um, but obviously it wasn't. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're not alone. Like most people will when I say you're just gonna do this one assignment this week, it's kind of like, well, what? We're like, full on, I'm ready to
Exactly.
go. But there's a little bit of a method to the madness.
And it's mindset, it really is. It's a gradual shift in the right direction. But it's like you said, your approach of don't do everything all together, because you're kind of setting yourself up for failure that way, especially given, the lifestyle, full-time mom, full-time job. it, I don't want to throw the military spouse thing out there, but like,
Yeah.
husband can be gone for months at a time. You're by yourself. You have to find time to do that with an hour commute to work every day, and have to
Mhm.
walk the dog, and have to do the groceries. And it's
Yeah.
a really, really, it can be very overwhelming. And I felt like this was a good way for me to get control over something. And it's definitely had a domino effect.
Mhm.
So many different areas of my life.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So what was the deciding factor in like, okay, I'm gonna do this? What was that trigger for you?
I think it was the pants. I think it was the pants that didn't fit. I really do, because I remember when I bought them, I was like, because when I bought them, I was feeling very good. I was just feeling comfortable in my body. And then when these pants didn't fit, they're just work trousers. They're literally just black slacks.
Mhm.
And when they didn't fit, I felt ashamed. I know that's a really strong word, but I just felt like, do this. So that was a huge thing of just going, I need a wake up call.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, and I think too, like, you alluded to this, like the small changes that happen over time, but what do you feel like, what are some of the changes you've made since you've done this program?
Since after we finished,
Yes, and
or
I mean, even if you want to talk about like the changes that happened while you were in the program, I think that's something
yeah,
that would be interesting.
obviously nutrition was a huge thing, but now that's just second nature.
Mhm.
Which is, yeah, I think about that, and it's just wow, like my understanding of portions and all of that. It's just that's great, because that's half of it, I think. Nutrition is such an important part. But the other thing was water. Obviously, I wasn't a water drinker, as you remember. I don't, and I still struggle. I'm not gonna lie, I still struggle. I feel like, because we don't have our weekly meetings now, I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
no one's gonna say anything to me if I don't drink all my water. But the other one was definitely sleep,
Mhm.
and quality of sleep. I know we talked about that a lot. The putting social media before bed, the screen time before bed, all of that. That was a huge thing, and I still do that. And I have started reading more, and just like I had mentioned earlier, the the domino effect, even just from meal prepping, and not meal prepping, I don't say meal prepping, meal planning is
Mhm.
huge, because I get things done quicker. I the options that are in my fridge now, like I'm not stressed about like what's going to be for dinner, and that is a huge weight off my shoulders. Even when my husband is around, like when he is in town, it's I don't have to worry, because even if I'm not there to make dinner, I know that there's enough healthy, good food um for him and for my son as well. So that's been a huge thing, is just how one small change in my routine can affect everything on the
Absolutely. Yeah.
big scale.
Yeah. And I think too, that's a concern for a lot of women who think like going into a program like this, they're going to need to spend so much time. But what they don't realize is how much time they will actually be buying back for
Yeah,
themselves.
100%, 100%. And that's another thing. I think, as previously I would steer clear of, for no reason, I would steer clear of like frozen foods and stuff. For some reason, I would always think like, no, it has to be fresh, it has to be there. And now I'll do bulk buys in Costco, as many people do.
Hmm.
But I'll look at the frozen salmon, and just, I'll pay attention to what I'm buying. And sometimes you can make smart choices by buying frozen meals if you just pay attention to what you're actually buying. That was
Hmm.
something as well for me. Um, yeah, yeah,
I love it. I love
yeah,
it. Well, what
yeah.
would you say has been the biggest impact for you as a result of this program?
Um, I think when I was thinking about this, I mean, obviously I've had great results, like can't be argued with. But I think what was really nice about this experience was that there's some weeks when I would plateau, like not even plateau, but I would maybe go up a couple of ounces, or I would be the same. There wasn't many, but it happened. And the first time it happened, I remember being a bit disappointed. But then the next time it happened, I remember thinking about all the wins that I had that week instead, as opposed to saying like, oh, I didn't lose any weight this week, I should restrict more and be really harsh on myself. Instead, I was like, no, but like, you had a really good week, you did all these other things, and you went to New York or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was I think that was a really important mental shift for me, um, to see that these lifestyle changes, it's not just about the weight loss. It's not just about um, your work trousers fitting you again. It's about, how do you feel? Being able to move better in the gym. I can see the definition in my arms and in my legs that I haven't seen in a long time. That
Mhm.
was a huge thing for me too. And it gives you the motivation to continue, because if I had started going to the gym, which I had done, but I wasn't motivated because I was almost afraid, because I wasn't strong. But it's been so gradual that now if I were to go to the big boy gym, I wouldn't be self-conscious. I wouldn't be yeah, I wouldn't be self-conscious or scared. I'd be very much like, no, I'm strong. I've built up, a good core strength and good stamina as well, just from the other things that I've been doing.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, confidence is definitely a big impact. I know I ramble, but
Yeah.
sorry.
No, but I love that. And I think too, and I know that just from working with me that we do focus on what are the wins that are happening,
Yeah.
because when we focus on that, that really does help build the confidence and trust in yourself. And like you said, like there's no straight line to success. And that's for anything in any area of life. But the having the ability to focus on where you're doing things well is it's such a huge takeaway. So that just made my heart so happy to hear you say that.
Yeah, and I mean, you said it before. I think it might have been the first time I had and I can't, I'd have to go back and look at my weeks, but
Mhm.
I remember you said, you were like, that's okay, because like every choice you make is an opportunity to do better, or to kind of
Make
you said something like
improvements.
that. You make
Hmm.
improvements,
Yep.
exactly, and that kind of stuck with me too. Um, and I liked that too with the approach. It wasn't, well, let's go back and analyze absolutely everything that you ate last week. Like
Mhm.
that's not a healthy, that doesn't create a healthy relationship with food. Um, and I think, it's important to be aware of those things and um, you pick yourself up and move on. It was great. It was good.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, that's yeah.
great.
And that's a testament to also to your, that growth mindset that you have, which I think helped you tremendously and will help you in the future as well.
Yeah.
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 So Sinead, how would you say your life has changed since you've completed the program?
Um, I mean, confidence is a big thing. It
Mhm.
definitely is a very, very big thing. Um, and I'm just all around happier because, like I said, like the domino effect that it has, whether it's sleep, energy levels are up. Um,
Mhm.
I enjoy eating the food that I eat and being full and not feeling like I've binged over, that kind of way.
Mhm.
But also it's impacted the house in general. I know my son is getting great food. Thankfully, he's a good eater for
Mhm.
now. Touch wood. He's a
Yeah.
good eater. But also like my husband as well, in general, he sees that I'm happier. It helps our relationship. I'm confident in my skin again. So that's been a huge, huge win
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
us as a house. It's definitely, and you don't think something as small, and I say that because it is important, but you don't think something as small as what food you put on the plate can impact the whole house so
Mhm.
much.
Yes. And I think you just touched on another hesitation that a lot of moms have when they invest time and money and energy into themselves is that they're taking away from their family by doing that.
Yeah,
And, I think having you being able to see that it actually benefited your family, being able to say that and explain how that happened is so valuable.
yeah, and that's I remember that was one of Scott's skepticisms at the start was like, oh, here we go. It's going to be a diet, and all that we're going to be eating is rice and chicken, and it's going to be terrible. But it was a because I love to cook and I love to bake, and I've
Mhm.
just it is the season, so I've started baking again as well. But I would make all these really it just I just became I was forced to become more creative with the food that I made because you can slap oil and butter on everything and it's delicious, but
Yep.
you don't want to do that all the time. Um
Hmm.
and he was pleasantly surprised. He loves all the food that I've kind of gravitated towards and
Hmm.
so that's been great because I'll tell you he was like, oh,
A
it's
little
gonna be
nervous.
fun. Yep.
Yep. I hear you. Yeah. No, we worked on, building that recipe collection and all of that. So,
And I
yeah.
still have them all bookmarked. I've got my favorites. And like you said, I have a couple of go-tos that I do all the time. And, you know,
Hmm.
it's great.
I love it. I love it. So, Sinead, if you could tell people what it was like to work with me, what would you say?
Terrible. Don't do it. No. No. I mean, I feel like you would be a good match for anyone who needs guidance and stuff, but obviously I can speak to my lifestyle and
Mhm.
um I looked forward to our weekly meetings because, I never felt like I was going to get in trouble. I never felt like I was going to be, uh, mm, what's the word? I never felt like you were going to make
Hopefully
me
not
restrict
judged.
more. No, judge, never judge. No,
Yep.
God, no. I never felt like I was judged. I always, like you said, I felt every meeting was an opportunity to kind of redirect the bus a little bit and kind of
Hmm.
um fix it that way. I felt like you were very, very understanding of, life as well, life situations,
Hmm.
um, and sympathetic to having a sick toddler at home and things like that. And it felt relatable and personable. It didn't
Hmm.
feel like the plan that I was given was copy and paste it to everyone. I felt like it was tailored and I love the workouts as well. I love all the workouts. Those are definitely because I remember week one, I was like, can I get the workouts? But
Yep.
yeah, no, I just felt like working with you. I don't know, like saying working, hanging out with you was,
Yeah,
it was always lovely.
that's
So I'm glad we get to do this again. Um,
yes. Well, and I
but
always
yeah, no,
think about it like a partnership. You know what I mean? Like that's
yeah,
how I try to explain it to people. And that's why I do that initial consultation, because I want to make sure that we're going to be a good fit together, because we have to be able to um, really have a good synergy with each other. So that's really important. And like you said,
100%.
it's a partnership.
Yeah, and I think as well, another thing that I appreciated was that, sometimes I would have bigger questions about like the breakdown of the macros and stuff. And you're not um front loading with all the information saying you need to eat this much fiber because blah 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 blah. You need to eat that much, you didn't do that because that can also be very off-putting and that can also be very intimidating.
Mhm.
But if somebody has those questions, like I did occasionally, I got a good scientific answer. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. On
Yep.
to the next.
Yep.
So the knowledge was obviously there, but it was just a well managed kind of sharing of the knowledge, if that makes sense.
Yes. And that's something that I aim to do for sure. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
don't want to overwhelm people. Yeah.
Exactly. And that might be something that you will respond to in this next question is, was there anything that was unexpected in the program that popped up for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the second six weeks I didn't know. I knew what the program was going to be, but I didn't know week by week what the breakdown was going to be. So, I mean, when we kind of focused on, sleep quality and stress, I was like, "Okay, yeah, I guess we could do that." But I didn't, yeah, no, I was just like, okay, whatever, I guess. I mean, I'm losing weight, so it's working. But I I'd say I was a bit skeptical as well when that started. But trust the process. I hate saying it, but trust the process.
Yeah.
That was definitely a surprising thing. And it was also surprisingly hard. That was like the getting a healthy sleep schedule and things and those that what was it? What's the phrase for it? It was like sleep health. Is that
Well,
what
I
it's
think
called?
yeah, sleep hygiene, sleep routines, like
Sleep
we talked.
hygiene, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's harder than you think. That's
hmm
that's a lot harder than you think.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I thought that was a surprise.
Yeah. But it
A
ended up,
good surprise.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think it ended up having some good benefits for you.
Oh, 100%. Because
Yeah.
again, like instead of the me and Scott sending each other memes from the other side of the bed, we were forced to talk to each other. Terrible. I don't recommend, and I'm joking.
I love it. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
last question for you is, what would you say to anyone who was considering working with me?
I mean, do it. I would just do it. Um, go in, obviously do it. But also make sure, I feel like whether it's with you or with anyone, I feel like before you start any sort of lifestyle change or weight loss journey, I hate using that expression, but you have to be in the right frame of mind because there are going to be weeks that you might not lose weight, you might gain weight. And if you're not connected with the person that you're partnering with or that you're working with, or if you don't have a good support network, it could be a really hard week or a hard thing to get over. So I think that's really important just for anyone.
That's
And I would just say as well, if you're specifically working with Amy, then I would just say enjoy it and use you as a resource because I know we had open communication all the time. I feel like I didn't use it to the best of my ability because I felt like I didn't need to. I wish I had more, daily questions. I left it mostly to the weekly meetings, but use the resource that you are, the wealth of knowledge that you are.
mhm.
Um, and also I felt like if I were to message you and say, I for motivation, I felt like you were always there too if I needed it. So I would just say use that side of the platform too as best you can. And
Mhm.
if you get to see the dog, say hi to her. Lovely dog too. He's gorgeous.
Yeah, now I got double the dog. So
Oh, did you get a new one?
yeah, we adopted another one.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, I'll send you some pictures.
I love dogs.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sinead. I mean, you're really, truly, your insight is invaluable.
Thank
And
you.
like I said, I know it's going to resonate with some other moms out there, other women that are in the same position as you. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart
Yes,
for sharing your experience. And I appreciate your time today. And
absolutely.
to everyone else who's listening, hope you got some good nuggets there because that was a great interview.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, and I apologize for rambling. If you need to cut out some bits, go ahead.
No, it was
I won't be
perfect.
upset.
It was perfect. I loved it. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, Sinead. Take care.
All right.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.